Introduction and Chapter 1 of Our Little English Cousin. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cori Samuel. Our Little English Cousin by Blanche Mcmanus. Published 1905. Introduction. The lives of our little English cousins are not so widely different from our own in America. It is only the more ancient associations with which they are surrounded that changes their manners and customs. Their speech is the same, and their amusements and tasks are to a great extent quite similar. Certain details of home life vary considerably, and when they take their walks abroad, our little English cousins, as often as not, visit some ancient historic shrine from whose associations have been built up the great British nation. Little English cousins and little American cousins alike, however, would have the same affections for the same things were they but to change places, therefore things are not so very different after all. What Washington is to America, London is to Britain, meaning in this case England, Ireland, and Scotland as well, for our little Scotch and Irish cousins by no means like one to talk or write of England alone, when one really means Britain. Our little English cousin lives in a less rigorous climate than that which prevails for the most part in America. Their winters are in general not so cold, though they are quite as long, and not usually so bright and sunny. The summers are by no means so hot as ours, and are accordingly most delightful. The open-air pleasures of our English cousins, while existent in our own country, are at least more general than with us, and tea out of doors, in the garden or on the banks of the Thames, is an institution which is quite unique, and accordingly, as a summer divertisement, is greatly in vogue. The associations which link America with England are many and important. Indeed, they are so numerous that it were futile to attempt to give place to any in this introductory note, beyond recalling to the mind of little American cousins that the great Washington himself was of a well-known English family before they settled in America. Today, if the English are not emigrating to America to the extent that they formerly were, our American cousins are returning the visits, if only for pleasure or edification, in astonishingly growing numbers each year. All this makes for a better understanding and appreciation of each other, and cements the growing friendship of years, which in our progressive times is a good thing not to overlook. Our little English cousin, then, extends a cordial hand of welcome, not only to her cousins across the seas, who annually make visits to her native land, but to the stay-at-homes as well, who have that pleasure in store for some future time. Chapter 1. Edith's Home on the Thames. "Now it is really time to get ready, is it not, Miss Green?" exclaimed Edith, looking up at the clock for the 20th time during the last half-hour, and breaking off in the middle of the list of English kings and queens which she was trying to commit to memory. Which king came after Henry III, in that far-away time, seemed a small matter compared to the outing which she and her governess had planned to enjoy on the river that lovely afternoon. Miss Green smiled indulgently as she closed her book. "It does seem a shame to remain indoors a moment longer than one can help such a day as this. Well, I will see Betty about the tea things and pack them in the basket while you are getting ready." You may imagine it did not take Edith long to put away her books. Then giving her good-natured governess a hug, she skipped off for her hat and coat. "There are Eleanor and Clarence waiting for us now," cried Edith, as she and Miss Green, who was carrying the tea-basket, crossed the gardens. Running over the lawn which stretched down to the river, she greeted her two little playmates from the vicarage. All three were bubbling over with glee at the prospect of an outing this bright June afternoon upon the River Thames. They were to go up-stream to a pretty little nook, in a quiet backwater, which was a favourite spot with them, and have a gipsy tea under the willows. The children were soon seated on cushions in the neat little shallow punt. Towser, the big collie dog, was already in the boat, for he knew he was a welcome companion on these trips. Miss Green, standing at one end, poled the boat gracefully through the water.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?